Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadali Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namah. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So our most dear Sri Vallabh Prabhu requested me to speak a few words about my life. What is your journey? How were you affected by Bhagavad Gita? So, just like our dear Dinabandhu Prabhu, I was born into a very wealthy family. I was never short of anything. Everything I wanted and more was always available to me. But I was not satisfied. Since my smallest age, as far back as I can remember, I used to sit and think. Later I found out it was called meditation. When I was 11 years old, my father gave me a book. It was a huge book. It was called The Textbook of Yoga Psychology. And it was an explanation of the Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. And I began to study it, to find some answers. Then gradually, as I became older, I wanted to investigate what is this world, what is the meaning of this world through science. I became very interested in physics, because physics is the analysis of all the physical things around us. So at that time, that was now the early 80s, so many physicists, so many scientists were writing books like The Tower of Physics and Physics as Metaphor, and so many texts looking at how scientists have become confused. They don't really have the answers, even what matter is. No one knows. And so they were turning towards the East to discover, are there any answers there? So while I was studying the articles of very open-minded physicists, I discovered at the age of 15, Bhagavad Gita. Then I began to read. First, I got a copy by Juan Mascaro. He was, I believe, a Spanish translator, and he translated the Gita in a very poetic way, with no explanation. And it was impressive, it was moving, but it was not clear to me. After that, I got a copy of Bhagavad Gita with a commentary, and I read it, Eknath Eswaran. But he was an impersonalist, Mayavadi, monist, Shankarite follower. So I read it, but it was not appealing to me. Finally, I received Bhagavad Gita as it is, from Srila Prabhupada. And then, it was so pure, it was so powerful, and I was so impure that I could only read about one page at a time, and I began to shake. I could not digest, but I felt extreme power was coming from the explanation of God's pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada. So very soon, I left college and I went to India, and so from 1989 until today, that practically my whole adult life, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, I tried to follow this path of bhakti, and now I am, nearly 53 years old. So it was a long, long journey, and what I was searching for, by the grace of Srila Prabhupada, I found it. So I can give guarantee to you, by my own experience, if you follow the Bhagavad Gita, the teachings of Srila Prabhupada and our Guru Parampara, you will find everything you are looking for and more. Sri Krishna will exceed all of your expectations. Now, the question comes, why is Bhagavad Gita relevant to people today? And I think, one, there are many different answers, and many devotees have given beautiful presentations today, but I want to touch on one thing, and that is that especially the young people today, they demand logical, rational, and scientific explanation, otherwise they won't believe anything, right? Is it true? You've got kids, right? You know. Yes, so it's true. In the Bhagavad Gita Mahatmya, there it is said, Sarva Upanishado Ghavo Dogda Gopala Nandana. this Bhagavad Gita is like a cow. And the Gopal is milking the cow, and the nectar of Gita is coming out. So the Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all the Upanishads. Now, in Vedic culture, the Upanishads are known as Vedanta. Vedanta. And Vedanta is not just this company who's sponsoring the event here. Vedanta, Vedanta is known in India as a Nyay Prasthan. You know, Nyay Prasthan. Prasthan means to set out on a journey, right? And Nyay means logic. So Nyay Prasthan means to set out on the journey of logic and reason. So you should understand that Vedanta and the essence of Vedanta, Bhagavad Gita, spoken by Sri Krishna, is not dogmatic. It does not demand the blind acceptance, but rather it is extremely, extremely hyper-rational. It is hyper-rational. So anyone who has that inclination to think deeply, philosophically, they will find, if they'll hear Bhagavad Gita from a representative of Bhagavad Gita, this is also important. Only reading will not do. It's necessary. Evam parampara praptam imam rajashe vudu sakale naha mahata yoga nashta parantapa. It's necessary to hear from a self-realized soul who represents the tradition of Sri Krishna's teaching, who has received it from a person, who has received it from a person who ultimately has received it himself from Bhagavan Sri Krishna. That is our Sri Guru Parampara. If we'll hear it in this way, then all questions will be answered completely scientifically and very, very logically. So I just want to touch one or two of the rational arguments given in Bhagavad Gita. So many people ask this question, can you show me God? And in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said, yes. Bhaktya tvanannaya saktya. Aham mevam vidorajuna. Drastum, gyatam, drastum cha tattvena, pravestum cha parantapa. By unalloyed, unconditional, pure devotion to me, Arjun, you can know me. Gyatum, that means you can know me. Drastum, and you can see me. Tattvataha, not in speculation, not in imagination, but actually in truth. Pravestum, and you can enter into my eternal kingdom, Goloka Vrindavan. So Krishna gives this promise. Yes, you can know him and you can see him. But the question is, how? So then I put this question to you. Can everyone hear me? You can all hear me. So you're all conscious, right? Can you prove to me that you are conscious? Can you prove to me that you are conscious? In philosophy, if you go to study philosophy at university, there's one problem in philosophy. It's called the problem of other minds. You only know your own mind exists, right? You're aware, you're conscious, you're aware of your thoughts, but they're private. You can't reveal them to someone. You can speak, but they cannot be disclosed directly to anyone else, and neither can anyone else. Their consciousness is disclosed only to them. It's not disclosed to you, right? So this is called in philosophy the problem of other minds. I know that I am conscious and I have a mind, but maybe you could all be zombies. You could all be automatons. You could all be biological machines moving, input, output, but no experience inside. And there's no way I can prove that you are not, and there's no way that you can prove that you're not. So what to speak of a person saying, can you prove God? Then I say, you cannot even prove that your own mind exists to anyone except yourself. Because this is a matter of consciousness, and consciousness is private. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said that the Atma of the consciousness is avyakta. Avyakta means not manifest to our empirical senses. So there's nothing you can do. You can look through a telescope, through a microscope, through anything. But you can never ever find Atma, the soul. But you know that Atma soul is there yourself, subjectively. Now, you may say, well, I don't even know that my Atma exists. I think that I am a biological machine. So Krishna explains this also in Bhagavad Gita. He said, yes, even the knowledge of your own self has become lost to you. Why? Avritam jnanam etaina jnanino nityavarina kama rupena kuntaya dushparena analena cha. He said, the spirit soul's knowledge, even of himself, is covered by kam. That means self-interest, desire. Now, this is one thing that if you study in philosophy in a university or science, there's one department, it's called the philosophy of mind. And one of the things that all the philosophers say in the study of philosophy of mind is that consciousness has this peculiar quality called directedness. That consciousness is always directed towards something, right? Your intention is going towards listening to me, or looking at your watch, or checking your email, whatever. So stop checking your email and your watch, look at me just for a minute. So consciousness has this property called directedness. So Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, directedness of consciousness can be divided into two broad categories. One is called bhakti. That is when your intentions, your desire are only to please God. And if you're not doing bhakti, then your intentions are self-interest, to please yourself, or your extended representatives of yourself, like this. So consciousness has two directions, and Krishna is explaining in Bhagavad Gita that if you have kam, if you have the self-interest, then this kam is covering your knowledge of yourself. So the only way to become free from self-interest, because there's only one other category. What is that? Bhaktya tvananya bhaktya. Krishna said, you can only know me by bhakti when you give up your self-interest and direct your consciousness towards me. This is the way. So, Bhogaishwarya prasaktanam taya parita chaitasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samadau na vidhiyate. Krishna said that those who are bewildered, who are attracted by bhog, material enjoyment, bhogaishwarya, and opulence. I want a Lamborghini. I want Tesla. I want a very big house in New York, Paris, Rome, London, Delhi, Bombay, and everywhere. So if our mind is attracted by material pleasures, physical pleasures, and the opulences of the world, then what happens? Taya aparita chaitasa. One's chaitasa, that means pure consciousness. Chaitasa means pure consciousness. It is stolen by attraction to that. Vyavasayatmika buddhiya. You cannot be focused. Samadau na vidhiyate. And because of this, you cannot enter into the state of samadhi, the state of trance, in which there is self-realization. Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, the definition of yoga. Yeah? Everyone's interested these days in yoga, but what does it mean? It means, Krishna said, samatvam yoga uchate. Yoga means equilibrium of mind. So, when there is selfish desire, when there is self-interest, then kama esha, krodha esha, rajagun, the mode of passion enters into the chitta, into the mind, and it becomes disequilibrated. It becomes unsteady. And when we give up, and that unsteadiness is covering our knowledge. And when we give this up by becoming devoted to Krishna, then samatvam yoga uchate, the mind becomes steady in equilibrium, and in that state of equilibrium, you can see in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there Kapil Dev, he says to Devahuti that swachatvam avikaritvam shantatvam iti chaitasa. The symptom of pure consciousness, the first one is called swachatvam. It means clarity. Now what does clarity mean? In the commentary, Sridhar Swami, Jiva Goswami, Vishwachakri Thakur, they all say the same thing. Swachatvam, clarity of consciousness, means Bhagavad Bimba Grahitvam, the power to catch the reflection of the beautiful form of Bhagavan. This is what it means. Chaito darpana marjanam. The chitta, when it's pure, is like a mirror. And in that mirror, you can see the reflection of the beautiful form of Krishna. So Krishna said, Gyatum drastum chatattvena. By this bhakti, you can know me, you can know yourself, and you can see me. And then you'll know that God exists for sure. So the Bhagavad Gita is very, very scientific. Science means what? Observation, hypothesis, demonstration. Now you have observed this teaching of Bhagavad Gita. You have learned the hypothesis. Now follow it, and it will be demonstrated to you who you are and who is Krishna directly. This is the perfection of our life. Hare Krishna.